Welcome to another edition of Diplomatic Channel. I'm Amarachi Ubani. ECOWAS held the 68th Heads of Government Summit at the State House Conference Center in Abuja over the weekend. On the agenda were deliberations on the future of the ECOWAS community, presentation of the 2025 annual report on the state of the community, updates on regional security and mediation efforts, progress on Guinea's political transition, and a review of the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme. Attending the summit alongside leaders of the other 10 countries fully within the ECOWAS was Vice President Kashim Shettima, who was representing Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu. In his address to the community, the president emphasized the need for a united front and collective action to address the challenges confronting the West African region, such as terrorism, violent extremism, and unconstitutional changes of government. He said no single nation can achieve stability alone, and he assured the gathering of Nigeria's commitment to collective action in defense of the region's collective future. ECOWAS chairman Julius Bio also added his voice to the call for collective action, including the need for integrated intelligence systems and coordinated border operations. He condemned the unconstitutional change of government in Guinea-Bissau and the attempted coup in Benin Republic, commending the rapid mobilization of ECOWAS troops, with Nigeria taking the lead to safeguard constitutional order. He also announced that from January of 2026, ECOWAS will implement a landmark measure to reduce the cost of air travel across West Africa, as member states agree to abolish air transport taxes and reduce passenger and security charges by 25%. Earlier last week, the ECOWAS Council of Ministers meeting in Abuja unanimously endorsed Ghana's President John Mahama as the sole candidate for the position of chairperson of the African Union when the rotational slot comes to West Africa in 2027. To an update now on the attempted coup in Benin Republic, authorities are still looking for the mastermind, Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tigre, who's believed to be hiding in Togo. Benin authorities also confirmed the arrival of at least 200 ECOWAS troops in the country to support the constitution and ensure nothing goes amiss as a result of the attempted coup. It's safe now to say that President Patrice Talon remains in control of Benin Republic as president. Here's more on other happenings and discussions in diplomatic circles.
At the end of their meeting on Sunday, ECOWAS head of state and government agreed to forge a proactive and forceful united front to put an end to the spread of military coups, terrorism, and other forms of insecurity across the region. Immediate past chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, President Bola Tinubu of Nigeria, the current chairman, Sierra Leonean President Julius Bio, and the president of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Omar Toure, among others, who spoke at the 68th Ordinary Session hosted in Nigeria, maintained that a united front and solidarity are the way to go in order to halt military takeovers and violent extremism in the region. President of the ECOWAS Commission, Mr. Omar Toure, acknowledged the support of various foreign and continental partners to ECOWAS, emphasizing that events of the last few weeks in West Africa have demonstrated what regional solidarity can achieve. He cited the instability in Guinea-Bissau and the attempted coup in Benin Republic, which according to him were addressed following the swift response led by President Bola Tinubu of Nigeria. And he announced that Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, has accepted to serve as chairman of the ECOWAS Business Council, a platform that will facilitate dialogue between the private sector and government for the development of the region.
Africa faces many challenges.
Ghanaian President John Mahama called on African nations to move beyond being mere suppliers of mineral resources and called for stronger regional trade. He was making the appeal during Kenya's 62nd Jamhuri Day celebration. Jamhuri Day, the Swahili word for republic, and celebrated on December 12th, marks the date when Kenya became an independent country on December 12, 1963. The United States, Ukraine and Germany have opened high-level talks in Berlin aimed at bridging the remaining gaps between Washington's peace proposal and Kyiv's demands to end the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Ahead of the talks, the Ukrainian President, Volodymyr Zelensky, stressed that the priority was securing guarantees safety. Writing on social media, his only reliable guarantees will work for peace. The Ukrainian leader announced earlier that Kyiv is prepared to ditch its constitutional ambition to join NATO in exchange for legally binding Western security guarantees as necessary compromise to pave the way for a peace deal.
Welcome back. Visa applications to any country is sometimes a hassle. We all know the feeling when we're not granted visas to go for that conference or that holiday, either because we did not apply in time or for some reason the countries we applied to do not think that we were qualified for those visas. But there's another group of people who leave the application process to agencies or proxies who formulate the information about their clients when submitting an application. They have assured their clients of 100% success in applications, collect huge sums of money from them, and in the end, many times, they fail. That's a group of people that the UK government, alongside that of Australia and Canada, is targeting with its visa fraud campaign. The campaign is already on and continues into the summer of next year. If you have any plans to apply for visas to any of these three countries, you need to listen closely to the Deputy Head of Mission for the UK High Commission, Simon Field, as he talks about what the campaign is about and how to avoid falling victim to scammers, what you can do if you do fall victim, and why it is important you fill your application and get all of the necessary documents yourself. All right, Simon Fields, thank you for speaking with us. We're talking visa fraud, the campaign that the UK is launching alongside Australia and Canada. Why the focus on visa fraud?
Well, thank you for having me, and I feel this is a really important issue, one that we really do need to talk about. So visa fraud has been getting worse. We've seen an increase in fraud recently, and it's not just the increase, it's also the severity of that fraud. So increasingly, for example, we are seeing people misrepresenting my departments and the UKVI, UK Visa and Immigration, and also our partners at VFS. And they're misrepresenting us on social media networks and WhatsApp, pretending to be us, and they're increasingly sophisticated at doing that. So increasingly they're using fake emails, fake documentation to kind of persuade people to fraudulently give them their money and making false promises about visa guarantees. I want to be really clear in your program today, there is no guaranteed visa. Anybody that is trying to tell you that there is a guaranteed visa is lying to you. They are fraudulent. Even I cannot give you a guarantee that you will get a visa. All of those assessments made independently by UKVI, UK Visa and Immigration, back in the UK. And there's no way of shortcutting that process. You have to apply. You have to go through the process. Anybody that can tell you is a fraudster. And it's not just that there's criminality here in Nigeria, but it's also the emotional toll on people. So people that think that they are able to get a visa, hoping those dreams, people are preying on those dreams, preying on those emotions, and that's really severe. That has an impact on their mental health and their emotion, which ultimately is unkind. And ultimately that's only fueling criminality here in Nigeria. So that's why we're taking this really seriously at this stage. We've seen this incline and we want it to end. We want people to be able to trust in our immigration system and know they're going to get a fair income. And those people that do go for it have the trust that there's no way of shortcutting it, which there is not. If you try and lie on a visa form or shortcut, you will be found out and you will be prosecuted.
Do you think AI has probably helped to propagate this fraud against victims?
No, not necessarily. I think this is an old con trick. People are preying on people's emotions and hopes and dreams. So perhaps AI has made that easier by being able to quickly make a fake email or make a fake WhatsApp, but that's not the cause of this. The cause of this is as old as time itself. It's people hoping to prey on people's dreams and aspirations and kind of using that to exploit money. And ultimately that is criminality, which needs to stop. If there wasn't AI, this behavior would still continue. It's perhaps made it easier, but there's other methods that have made that easier. Social networks have made that easier. But you can also make the same argument of the news press, for example. I'm sure it was being made years ago. It's just a new way of doing it. And ultimately, it needs to end. And people need to have the trust in the immigration system to know that they're getting a fair decision and that there's not people that are able to make this shortcut.
Perhaps you could give us examples of the kinds of emails and WhatsApp messages that people could receive, that would deceive them into thinking, this agent is acting in my interest.
One of the increasing ways we have seen, and the one that we're most concerned about, is people making false promises about jobs waiting for them in the UK. And so you'll get a description saying there is a job waiting for you. All you need to do is click on this link. And often that's just based on false information, false documentation. We've launched a campaign which is #FightVisaFraud, which gives lots of examples of this. So if you just type into Instagram or X or Facebook, Fight Visa Fraud, you'll see lots of examples of different emails which people have used. But also like the stories which have come alongside that of people how they felt from being defrauded. So I'd really ask people to complete the forms themselves, go to legitimate websites, so gov.uk, G-O-V, which is our website, which has the whole truth about how you can apply for a visa. You can apply for your visa yourself. You don't need a middleman. Do it yourself. It's a simple process. And make sure that you give yourself enough time. I think often one of the stories we hear is that people have panicked into going with an agent. They feel like they have to go to an agent because they're made these guaranteed promises. That doesn't exist, but they've done that because they haven't left themselves enough time. You can apply for a visa for up to 3 months before you plan to travel. Give yourself enough time. Go on gov.uk and complete the forms. All the information that you require is there, and it is a simple process. You can do it yourself. And the best person that knows you is you. So you're not going to fall foul of a scheme because you've put in the incorrect information. Or you don't understand, or you haven't checked from somebody that's doing it for you. Do it yourself. It's a simple process. Just go to gov.uk. So there's a couple of things that we are increasingly doing. So we're increasing awareness of what fraudulent emails look like and the impact that that's had on people's lives to stop people thinking they have to make these shortcuts. And we're doing that through our social media campaign and our media campaign, which, as I said, is #FightVisaCrime. So there's lots of examples. My boss, the High Commissioner in Abuja, has recently done a video which kind of highlights this campaign. But we'll be doing this isn't just a one-off campaign. We're doing this during particularly busy periods for visas. So we know now is a busy period. And we'll be running this all the way up to summer 2026. But that's just one aspect of it. Increasingly, across the countries that we're working with, so Australia, New Zealand, Canada, we're increasingly sharing information. So we're sharing information across our countries. And that means that if you do try and shortcut the system, if you do try and lie on a visa form, or you fall foul of an agent that has misrepresented you, ultimately you could get a travel ban of up to 10 years. And that's not just to the UK. That is also to Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and other European countries, because we share information increasingly. Then just in terms of what the UK is doing, we have been increasingly working with Nigerian agencies. We have a Nigerian Immigration Crime Unit, which is increasingly doing training to look at how we work with agencies here to fight that criminality in Nigeria. This is fueling wider criminality in Nigeria, which does need to come to an end, and we are increasingly working with our agencies to make that happen. We signed an MOU in May this year, which allows us to share more information and work together to resolve this issue, and we're really starting to use that to build training, build capacity. And then we've also increasingly worked with the airport authorities and airlines so that they recognize signs of false visas as they potentially go through. So even if you do use an agent and you are successful, you aren't necessarily guaranteed to be able to get to the UK. There is a final process. So my message to you is, do not feel like you can shortcut the visa system. Use the legitimate channels. They work. We issue over 157,000 visas to the UK every year. Those legitimate channels work. Most visa applications, especially if you've completed them yourself, will go through. And if you feel like you've made a mistake, or we're talking here of fraud, so you are putting through documents which are a lie. It's easy to make a mistake, but if you make a mistake that isn't fraud, a UKVI, the UK visa sections, look at the visa applications. If you've made a mistake, they'll come back to you and they'll ask follow-up questions. But you have to remember UKVI see hundreds, about 450 visa applications every day. They know fraudulent documents, and they know the tricks which agencies and fraudsters use to try and interpret real documents. They've seen them all before, and very often they're lazy. So they'll write a fake document for you, which is the same as the other 100 people that they have used it for. And it's a really obvious sign, and we're really good at picking up on that information. And like I said, we will ban you if we've found that, because ultimately it's your responsibility to check your documents. Even if you've used an agent and they've misrepresented you, ultimately it's your responsibility to make sure that the information that you're provided to UKVI is accurate. And if we find that there's fraudulent information, I'm afraid that can lead to a 10-year travel ban, and we will share that information across a host of countries, which may make it harder for you to travel to those countries as well. So my message is, please, use gov.uk, check what documents are needed, do the application yourself. If you need help with documents, or you need help, make sure that what is presented and that you provide to UKVI is accurate and there are no fraudulent documents, because we will catch it.
So what happens when you make an honest mistake, perhaps maybe a missing letter in your name or something?
Honest mistakes happen. Everybody makes mistakes. It's very easy to get a date wrong. I know. Don't stress about mistakes. UKVI understand that mistakes happen. And if mistakes happen, they will come back to you. There's a process. So they come back to you, they ask follow-up questions, they ask you to make clarifications. It may slow down the process. Most visas are issued within 3 weeks in the UK. That may be a little bit slower if they need to ask a follow-up question, but they're going to ask those follow-up questions. And mistakes very rarely lead to visa bans. What we're talking here is around fraudulent documents. This is you putting, or your agent, or whomever it may be, lying and trying to misrepresent yourself. So common mistakes are people putting in fake bank statements, fake support letters, fake statements of employment, fake schools. All of those kind of documents are discoverable, and we'll find them, and are fraudulent.
What about a letter missing from a name?
A letter missing from a name is an easy mistake. And again, UKVI look at the applicants. It's not an automated process. Back home in the UK, there are people that will look through all the applicants, and they'll notice if it's just a mistake. That's not what they're interested in. Mistakes happen. They understand that. They'll come back to you with follow-up questions like, is this a mistake? And you'll have an opportunity to correct that. What we're looking at here is fraud. This is false documents that are representing you. And very often they're done by agents. So agents will ask you if you would like an enhanced document. And that's just a lie. That's a fake document that is in no way representing you. And that is ultimately fraud, because you are lying on that application process. And that will lead to a 10-year ban.
So if you're flagged as having provided fraudulent documents, the ban not only prevents you from entering into the UK, also prevents you from entering into Australia and Canada.
And New Zealand. But we also share that information across a wide range of countries. So European countries, the US. So all of those kind of countries could ultimately ban you, because it's a red flag. We share that information really widely. And if you think the kind of potential impact that has on people, I mean, that's stopping people from being able to go overseas and work because you're not able to get a visa. You're not necessarily able to travel with your company. You're not able to potentially go and find new opportunities if that's what you want to do in the UK, because you're effectively banned for 10 years. You won't be able to go and study in the UK because you'll be banned for 10 years, all because you tried to shortcut the process. My honest advice is use gov.uk, do the application yourself. Make sure that the documents that you use are correct and accurate, because we will discover it. And please don't use agents. Don't try and shortcut the system. I know it's very easy and very tempting. And also, like you said at the start, you can be misled. So maybe it's easier if I can give you some shortcuts around what a false statement looks like. So anybody guaranteeing you for a visa is lying to you. There are no guarantees for visas. They just don't exist. I cannot guarantee you a visa. It's just not possible in our system. The second one, if people offer to enhance documents for you, it's a lie. Then they can't enhance a document. If people start asking you for increased payments, because often what we find is that they will put in an application, but then they'll try and get more and more money out of you. They'll offer, for an inside or an appeal process fee. Visas don't have an appeal process. So you'll have to There's no such thing as an appeal fee. They're just made up. It's a way of extorting more and more and more money from you. There's ways that you can appeal if you feel like you've been incorrectly judged, but we won't necessarily charge a fee for that. So that's a lie. Or they'll ask for inside information or an insider fee. That doesn't exist in our system. I can guarantee that the UK visa officers in the UK are checked regularly and they're not able to kind of influence a decision. So that doesn't exist. So those are kind of real strong red flags. If anything like that happens, I would ask that you help us. Please don't go with that agent, obviously, but please report it to us, because it's really important that we try and remove that criminality. So you can report it to the Nigerian police, because we work closely with the Nigerian police and we will investigate. And if you're in the UK, please report it to actionfraud.police.uk, because it's really important that we start building this picture of this criminality and that we're able to tackle it.
So you're saying the victims of this visa fraud can go to the Nigerian authorities because you have, some sort of collaboration with them, and they can also report to the UK authorities?
Absolutely, because we've signed an MOU with our Nigerian authority colleagues where we're jointly working on this issue to eradicate criminality via visa fraud. And we will take it really seriously, but we need your help to be able to do that. We need people to be able to report where criminality has been seen or where approaches have been made for people to potentially offer kind of visa services which do not exist, because they don't. There is no guaranteed visa. Do the visa application yourself via gov.uk. If anybody's promising you guaranteed access, they are lying to you. And so please report it to us, because that's very likely a criminal, and we want to be able to eradicate that. It's the only way that we can make the visa system fair for everybody. There are no shortcuts. We need to have confidence. Nigeria needs to have confidence, right, that people aren't being scammed elsewhere. And that's what we're trying to eradicate.
Well, some might think that this is another ploy to curb immigration to the UK. How do you explain that?
Absolutely not. It is not. The UK visa system works for people that are putting in legitimate claims. For example, our study visas. More than 90% of study visas that are legitimate with correct documents are issued. So the system works for legitimate applications. What it doesn't work for is for fraudulent people that are trying to cut the system. And we are making it easier. So, for example, we're rolling out something called e-visas, which means that soon, well, we rolled out e-visas for work and study, and they'll soon be rolled out for all visas. And that's really important, because that means you don't necessarily have to hand in your passport for up to 3 weeks. You get to keep your passport. You get to continue to travel. You can do that for study and work visas now. We're making it easier. We continue to, we've expanded our VAC, our visa application centres, across Nigeria. So there's now one in Ibadan, there's one in Port Harcourt, Enugu, Kano. There's 2 here in Lagos, there's one in Abuja. It means that you don't necessarily have to travel between the capital and here. You can go anywhere. In fact, the visa centre here in Lagos on the mainland is our largest in Africa. It's incredible, it's impressive. So we're making it easier for people to be able to apply. We've recently made the gov.uk website simpler to follow so that people are able to get the information easier. And beyond that, our campaign at the moment around #FightVisaFraud is showing some of the kind of costs and some of the scams that you should look out for, but also highlighting the legitimate routes that you can potentially go through to get a visa. So we are trying to make it easier for people, and it's not a way of trying to curtail on migration, not at all. We issue over 157,000 visas to the UK every year. The system works for people that legitimately want to come to the UK. What we are fighting here is criminality in Nigeria, and that is wrong. That's wrong for the whole of Nigeria, because ultimately that's criminals benefiting from people's hopes and dreams, and that's what we want to stop.
So I get that the UK is focused on visa frauds right now, but what about those who have a visa ban, on their documents because of perhaps the instigation of violence here in Nigeria, political, problems and so on?
Absolutely. So if you have got a ban, that ban lasts for up to 10 years. So if you've been banned for any reason, that will continue. But it's really important to highlight that actually when you input your visa forward, your visa application, you are responsible for all that information. So if you've used a third-party agent, there's no excuse to say that that person has misrepresented you. That doesn't exist in our system, because you are responsible for the information that is put into that visa form. So if you have used a third party and they've lied without you knowing, you're still responsible for that information, and that will still lead to a 10-year visa ban and the information being shared that we have banned you. So please do the application yourself and check that the information that you're providing is accurate and a fair reflection of yourself. Do not put in fake documents, because we will find it, I'm afraid. We will find it. We look at lots of applications. So go to gov.uk, put the correct information in.
What about people who have, just since we're talking visas, what about those who have applied for visas previously and could not use those visas? Can they still apply for UK visas?
Absolutely not. So if you have applied for a visa, so you can apply for a visa up to 3 months in advance, and they last for various amounts of time, between 6 months and up to 10 years. If you've applied for a visa, for example, 3 months in advance, and you applied in the 6th month, but you just didn't have the opportunity to use it, you can't use that visa. I'm afraid it is no longer valid because it's run out. But applying again doesn't in any way stop you if you haven't used the visa. In fact, in some ways it can help you, because it kind of shows that you've gone through the information. We have a record of you traveling, well, not necessarily traveling, but if you've traveled back to the UK, back and forth, that is one of the things that our visa centres look for, because it shows that you've returned and that you're trusted, you have a history with us, we know who you are. That can all help. So if you've applied for a visa before and you didn't use it, don't worry. You can apply again, and there's no red flag put against you. That's just life. Life changes, right? You may just not have had the opportunity to use it. That in no way will impact you from getting a new visa.
So the website again is gov.uk?
gov.uk. All of the information is available there for the UK visas.
Thanks again, Simon.
No, thank you very much.
And that's Diplomatic Channel this week. Don't forget, your comments and your observations are welcome. Just leave them in the comment section on YouTube or any of our social media handles showing on your page. I'm Amarachi Ubani. I'll see you next time.